So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we will be talking about the Indian Express newspaper as usual. So here, when we talk about our UPSC Prelims PYQ analysis series, that is already there. We have already gone for 4 episodes. We have covered polity and now we are focusing on history right now, and after that we will be coming up with the different subjects as well. Okay. So there was this comments that we should go with the economy and science and tech. So definitely we will be coming with the economy as well as the science and tech subjects as well. So don't worry about that. Anyways, so let's start with the today's discussion. First, we will be seeing the PYQ of the day. As usual, we will go for the PYQ. We will try to understand that how to solve such questions which are there in the examination, and then coming to the next one, that is geography through maps. Okay, so here we will be discussing about the world geography. Okay, then moving further, important articles from the newspaper. If we talk about today's Indian Express newspaper, those who has the copy or who has seen the e-paper, you will be realizing that most of the things which has been repetitive in nature. When we talk about the Russia, US, Russia and Saudi Arab this meeting which was there with respect to the Ukraine and Russia war. So we will be talking about the highlights of that particular meeting. So in that particular meeting, you will be having this you can say insight that most of the time when they were talking about an agreement with respect to Ukraine and Russia, there was some kind of interest which was there with respect to US as well. So more of this particular meeting was more of a Russia US meeting. Okay, and let's see what happens next. Then coming to the next one, remission of sentence. Recently Supreme Court has made a remark that the states who has the policy of remission, they should go for it. Okay, they have to go for the remissions in a fair manner. We will be talking about that, and we will be seeing that what kind of provisions are there, what are other kind of pardons which are there with respect to the presidents and the governor. We will be talking about all these things. We will be covering over here. Then coming to the next one, India-Qatar key highlights. We have seen that the Amir of Qatar has visited India and they have gone for some kind of agreement. So we will be looking into that area. However, we have discussed that yesterday as well, wherein we have talked about the India and Qatar bilateral relations. Okay, today we will be talking about the highlights of the meeting, and we will also look at some of the important aspects over there. Okay, for your own read, there will be 2 articles, and then in the end we will be discussing the practice question. Okay, so let's move further and start our discussion. First is the PYQ of the day. Now here reason is given, then name of the mountain range, and then type of the mountain they have asked over here. Now let's see, Central Asia, Vosges, and then these are fold mountains. Now when we talk about the Vosges, these are not in Central Asia. Okay, so that is gone. Coming to the next one, Europe, Alps. Now if you look at the location of the Alps, if you go through the map, we have already seen the important mountain ranges in the geography through map section. We have already gone through this particular map. So over there we have talked about the Alps, we have talked about the Appalachians, we have talked about the Andes. Okay, Andes is there in South America, that is right. When we talk about the you can say North America, Appalachians are there in North America, and when we talk about the Europe, Alps are there in Europe. Okay, so that is there. First we have already eliminated because that is not in Central Asia, that is in Europe. Okay, so now the thing is they are talking about these kind of the mountains as well. Now this is the new pattern UPSC has shifted to, where they are giving 3 columns. Earlier they used to give 2 columns. Okay, other than that also there was this question with respect to the history, that Chandraketugad related question which was there. We have already solved that particular question. So now they are going for the 3 elements over here. Okay, now let's see when we talk about the Vosges, here you can see when we talk about the mountain types. Okay, there are certain mountain type, or the depending on the process through which the mountains has built, there are different types. So one is your block mountains. So in the world there are few mountains which is there, that is Rhine Valley, Vosges mountains. These are there in the Europe and not in Central Asia. So Vosges mountain is a kind of a block mountain. Okay, so here they have given that it is a fold mountain, so that becomes wrong. Okay, then coming to the second one, when we talk about the young fold mountains, you know that Himalayas are young one. When we talk about the old fold mountains, Aravallis are old ones. When we talk about the Alps, okay, when we talk about Himalayas are alpine mountains, or we can say the Himalayas are the young fold mountains. So similarly, Alp, which is there in Europe, and Himalayas, these are young fold mountains. Okay, so here you can see Alps, they are saying that this is a block mountain. Now again, this is not a block mountain, this is a fold mountain. Okay, so considering that, this is also wrong. Coming to the next one, Appalachians and the Andes. Here you can see Appalachians, these are old fold mountains, so these are basically a fold mountains you can say, and Andes, these are longest mountain chain, that is also a fold mountain. So here only 2 would be your right answer, 3 and 4 option B would be your right answer. Okay, other than that, other than this particular portion, explanation has been given over here, which we have already seen in the form of a table. So that is about this, option B is your correct answer. Okay, now let's move further and let's see the map over here, geography through map section. Here we are talking about the Great Lakes. Great Lakes, you must have heard about these 5 lakes which is there in the North American continent. I'm not saying in the America, I'm saying North American continent. Okay, so here the expanse of these lakes is there in Canada as well as some part of USA as well. So here you can see this is the border. Here you can see this is basically the border between US and Canada which is there. Okay, so here you can see this Lake Michigan is solely in USA. Okay, this is only one lake which is solely in USA. Other than that, Lake Superior, Lake Huron, Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, these are 4 lakes which are there on the border of USA and Canada. Okay, so if they are asking you about the Great Lakes, there are 5 lakes. Okay, total 5 are there, out of which 1, that is your Michigan, that is there in USA. Other than that, the 4 lakes are on the border, that is Lake Superior, Huron, Erie and the Ontario. Now this is something which can be asked in the examination because these are the important lakes, okay, with respect to deposits also. Other than that also, this is on the border, or they are making the border of a country, 2 countries we are talking about, so they are making a border. Considering that, it becomes important. I remember one question wherein they have talked about, you can say, this have simply asked that out of Great Lakes, all the lakes are on the border, or all the lakes are in the Canada, like that. You can say, assume that their kind of question can be asked. Just know that there are 4 lakes which are there in on the border of the USA and Canada. There is only 1 lake which is completely in USA, that is your Lake Michigan. Okay, so I hope that is clear. We can move to the next part. Now, before starting our discussion, I would like to tell you that Drishti IAS is offering you ISGS foundation course for prelims as well as mains. This course will be there in the offline mode when we talk about our new center, that is Noida sector 15, and then admissions are open for English medium, and for Hindi medium classes will be starting from 21st of February. So you can directly visit the center and get yourself enrolled, or you can call us on this number, that is 87501 for any kind of query. Okay, now let's move further and start with the first article of the day, that is Supreme Court says states must consider remission in eligible cases. Okay, now here Supreme Court has given a guideline that state must consider that if they are having a law, then you should consider it. Now we will not go into this. What we will do is that we will see what kind of provision is there and what Supreme Court has said and what kind of other kind of pardons which are there in the Indian laws. Okay, so sir, please give us daily mains questions as well. Okay, fine, I'll try to incorporate mains question as well. So let's see. Obligation of the state. Now, if a remission policy exists, what they are saying is, if in a state remission policy exists, the state must apply it fairly and consider eligible cases automatically. What they are trying to say over here is that you have to go for it suo moto, and you don't have to wait for the candidate to apply. You don't have to wait for the inmate to apply for the remission. If you have the remission policy, just go for it, okay, and apply it fairly. Now, no application is needed from the convict or their family. Application is not needed. If you have the policy, just go for it. Okay. Now, sections of the law involved over here, that is section 432 clause 2 of CRPC. Now, that has been changed to 473 of the BNS 2023, that it deals with the premature release of the convicts. Now, what is remission? Remission is basically cutting short the sentence. Okay, now how they will do that? There are various criteria which are there in the remission policy. These criteria will be there. Other than that also, there are subjective factors will also be there. Okay, so considering that, they will go for remission. Now, discretionary power with fairness, here the court emphasized that the remission power under the section 432 clause 1 must be exercised in a fair and reasonable manner. Government must incorporate suitable conditions while granting the remission. The condition should balance justice and the social safety, ensuring the convict is rehabilitated. Now, the thing is, the idea behind the remission is that a person who has served long enough in the jail and he has actually rehabilitated, or he has processed his guilt, now he is fit to go back into the society. Now, there are 2 things which is in play. One is the human rights of that particular inmate or the convict, that is there. Coming to the second thing is the social safety. If that particular person is coming outside the jail and he might not be a threat to the society. Now these are the two considerations which is there, which itself is a subjective thing to say. Okay, so considering that, the authority here has to maintain the balance between the safety of the society and the right of the convict. Okay, so that is there. Coming to the next one, legal service authorities role. What the legal service authorities will do, that they will help the under trials with this particular process of the remission. Okay, so judgment directed the legal services authorities to assist under trial prisoners in the remission matters. Secretaries of the state and the union territories must ensure a fair and the transparent remission process. Now that is what Supreme Court has said about the remission. Now we will be talking about that what kind of pardons we have in the constitution. Okay, so there are 5 type of pardons which are there. One is pardon. Pardon means that you have to go for the absolute, you can say that you are absolutely free from the sentence, you are absolutely free from the guilt. Okay, that is pardon. Coming to the second one, that is commutation. Then we have remission, we have reprieve and respite. Now all these words look similar but have different meanings. So let's start with the pardon. So okay, pardon. Completely absolve the convict of the crime, erasing the conviction and all the associated penalties. Whatever sentence was there, that is completely gone, like there was no crime which has happened. Okay, so considering that, they will be absolving the criminal from this particular, or the convict from this particular guilt, or you can say they will be absolving all the sentences. Okay, so now he does not have to go to jail and he is a free man. Coming to the next one over here, example is given: a president grants a pardon to a person wrongly convicted in a treason. Now when we talk about a wrongly conviction over here, because obviously the idea is not to free the criminals, idea is to make sure that the justice is done in a right way. Okay, sometimes because of the lack of the evidence or because of some faulty evidence, if a wrong person is getting convicted, so if there is a some kind of error which has been made by the final judicial authorities, when we talk about the appeal and the appeal in the Supreme Court, and after that also they have made some kind of error, and in that regard, if the government think that this particular person is deserving enough to walk free, so in that case they can go for the pardon. Okay, so that is there. Here important word is wrongly convicted. Idea here is to make sure there is no error in the judicial you can say sentences, etc., and not to make the criminals walk free. Okay, coming to the next one, commutation. Substitute a harsher punishment with a lighter one. Now they will be changing the nature of the punishment over here, and not the, you can say, time of the punishment, but the nature. Okay, let's say someone has been given a, you can say, rigorous imprisonment, and then he has been given a normal imprisonment. Okay, or someone person has been given a, you can say, life imprisonment, and then the, you can say, the sentence has been cut short to you can say, that will be your different story. But when we are talking about the, let's say there is a death penalty and that has been converted into a life imprisonment, so that is the kind of thing that you are changing the nature of the penalty over here. Okay, so the president commutes a death sentence to the life imprisonment. Coming to the next one, that is remission. Remission is basically where I would write it nature. Okay, now here what you are doing is reducing the sentence. In the remission, what you are doing is that you are reducing the sentence without changing the nature of it. Okay, if the rigorous imprisonment is there, that rigorous imprisonment will be there, but the time period will be cut short. Okay, let's say this rigorous imprisonment was given for the 10 years and they have cut it short to 7 years, that would be considered as a remission. Okay, so that is there. The government remits 1 year from a 2-year sentence or a rigorous imprisonment, so that is basically your, you can say, remission. Coming to the next one, shifted or the postponed, that is basically called as the reprieve. Coming to the next one, respite. Similar to reprieve, but for a longer period and often for a medical reason. Okay, so that is basically a respite. Here the government grants a respite to a terminally ill prisoner to allow them to spend final days at home. So that is basically your, you can say, the pardoning powers. Okay, now these are basically type of pardons. Now where we will see that what kind of power president and the governor holds. Okay, now when we talk about the president, president can go for the pardon, reprieve, respite, remit, suspend or commute. Okay, all kind of you can say whatever pardons we have, president can go for it. Okay, now coming to the next one, when we talk about the governor, pardon, reprieve, respite, remit, suspend or commute. The same thing is that they can also do that, but the thing is, only difference is that when we talk about pardon, in the case of pardoning, the pardon cannot be done in the cases of death sentence fully. Okay, if there is a person who has been given a death sentence, let's say Mr. A has been given a death sentence. Now that pardoning power, that absolutely freeing that particular person from that particular sentence, that power is with president only, okay, and not with the governor, only in the case of death sentence and not otherwise. Okay, coming to the next one here, or punish or the sentence of any person convicted of any offence against the central law. Now this is against the central law, obviously he is part of the union over here. The punishment or the sentence of any person convicted of any any offence under the state law, that is for the governor. Coming to the next one, he can pardon, reprieve, respite, remit, suspend or the commute a death sentence, which we have already seen. He is the only authority to pardon a death sentence. He is the only authority to pardon a death sentence. Now coming to the next one, he cannot pardon a death sentence. He cannot pardon it even if a state law prescribes a death sentence. The power to pardon lies with the president and not with the governor, but governor can suspend, remit or commute a death sentence. What he can do is that he can change the nature, or he can go for another you can say kind of sentence or another kind of you can say judgment over here, but the thing is he cannot pardon that particular sentence. As simple as that. In the case of death sentence, pardoning power is with the president only. Okay, coming to the next one, he can grant pardon, reprieve, respite, remission and commutation in respect to the punishment or sentence by a court martial. When we talk about the court martial or by the military courts, the president has the power, governor does not possess any such power. So that is the difference between the pardoning power of president and the governor. Okay, now after that we will be moving to the next one, that is, no, you cannot be gulped by a whale. Here is why. Now the thing is, you will be thinking that how it is relevant to UPSC. In the recent past, what has happened is that UPSC has started asking questions related to the behavior of the animals as well. Like lion may have or may not have the breeding seasons. Okay, like a particular species of let's say any kind of particular species is there which is dancing after seeing the food to let the other you can say mates know that there is a food over there. Okay, now these questions has been asked by UPSC in the past 2-3 years. So considering that, we will be focusing on the behavioral aspect over here. Recently one incident has happened that a Venezuela kayaker is kayaking is basically a adventure sport, water adventure sport is there. Okay, and that particular person was there in the ocean, and then there was a humpback whale. Okay, that humpback whale has engulfed a person, but he was not injured and he was thrown out again. Okay, now why is that happened? Because a whale can eat a person, then he or she did not. Okay, so that is what the incident was there, and considering that, we will be seeing that why is it has happened and what was the reason behind it. Now here you can see the types of whales. There are two kind of whales which is there, baleen whales and then toothed whales. Baleen whales are basically, when we talk about these hump whales, these are one example of that. So they are having keratin based baleen, okay, and they are not having tooth. Okay, so basically they are not having tooth, they are having baleens instead of the teeth, and feed on the smaller prey. Okay, so they will be feeding on the smaller prey, since humpback is one such kind and human prey is a large one, so they cannot have it. Now the problem is that why is that they cannot have a human prey while other you can say whales are having. When we talk about the sperm whale, so she will be having it. So the thing is that when we talk about these keratin based baleen whales, they have smaller throat. Okay, if they have smaller throat, the size of their throat is of a human fist, like this much only they have the throat. Now considering that they cannot engulf a whole human, and that is what has been the reason that he was thrown back into the water by the whale. So here you can say, when we talk about the second type, that is toothed whales, they have larger throats and they are capable of swallowing a larger prey. Okay, throat size limitation, I told you that these baleen whales are having a smaller throat. Humpbacks is about having a size of a human fist, making it impossible for these to swallow a human. Okay, exceptions are there. When we talk about the sperm whales, that is a kind of toothed whales which have the throats which are larger enough to swallow a human, but such encounters are rare ones. Whale behavior, if we talk about, humpbacks do not hunt large prey and primarily feed on the smaller fish and quills, the kayaker was likely engulfed accidentally during the feeding. Okay, so that was just a accident which has happened. Now when we talk about the kind of question that can be asked, that they can ask that humpback, which is a kind of whale, do not prey on larger animal. Okay, so you will be assuming that since whale is a large fish, they might go for the larger prey, but that is not the case all the time. Okay, so that is about it. Now we can move further to the next one. How Chandrayaan-3 lander made a surprise moon hop. So basically there was this news article which was talking about the Chandrayaan-3 again. When we talk about the lander which is over there, so what has happened that the lander, all the maneuvers were successful, but recently it was seen that the propellant or the fuel which was still there in the lander over there, so we did not want it to go unused. So that is why they have gone for a hop experiment. That is, hop experiment is that, let's say this is the surface on which lander is there, and what they have done is that they have actually you can say took a flight from there and then shifted it to another location. That's all has happened. Okay, nothing much has happened. So they have started the you can say ignited the propellant, and then they have shifted it to the another location, and that is not very far away, just in the vicinity of that. So that has happened, and the idea here is that Chandrayaan-3 has again been in the news, so that can be important for you. Okay, now let's see what has happened over here. So Chandrayaan-3's Vikram lander performed a surprise hop experiment on when we talk about the hop experiment, which was recently, but when we talk about the September 2023, that is the time when you can say that we have gone for the soft landing. Okay, soft landing on the southern pole of the moon. Okay, so that is there, lifting 40 centimeters above the surface and landing 30 to 40 centimeters away from the surface. So that is only what has happened. From the surface, the lander has rose to 40 centimeter and then shifted to 40 centimeter and then you can say landed back. That's all. ISRO debated using the leftover fuel with the former chairman over there, and the experiment proved the lander could reignite the engine post landing, which will be a key capability when we are going for the future missions. So that is there. From here we can reignite the lander as well. This unexpected test demonstrates India's progress in the space technology and potential for the sample return mission, and it was not the part of the original mission but showcased ISRO's innovation and adaptability in the lunar explorations. Okay, now what is important for you is that you go through the different series of the Chandrayaan 1, 2 and 3. So here you can see Chandrayaan 1 was in 2008, Chandrayaan 2 2019 and Chandrayaan 3 2023. Okay, generally this notion was there that Chandrayaan 2 was not a success, but again Chandrayaan 2 was a success, only one element that we could not go for the soft landing. Okay, so that was the thing. Here when we talk about the objective of the Chandrayaan 1, it was to study the lunar surface. It was having a orbiter with them, moon impact probe was there, like when we talk about the soft landing, and then there is another impact landing. So they have gone for the moon impact probe over there. Coming to the next one, findings, they have confirmed lunar water, presence of water has been confirmed by the Chandrayaan 1, so that is very important. Other than that, caves and other activities has been seen over here. Launch vehicle was Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, that is PSLV. Coming to the Chandrayaan 2, here study lunar surface and you can say going for the landing on the surface, but that could not happen. So what we have done is that we have studied the lunar surface and land rover on the south pole. Okay, lander we could not, so that is there. Orbiter has been sent, lander Vikram was there, rover Pragyan was there. Okay, since Vikram was not successful in going for the soft landing, so we have sent the same lander, or you can say the name of the lander was same in the third mission Chandrayaan 3, that is where we had the lander, that is Vikram. Coming to the next one here, built on the Chandrayaan 1's water evidence. Okay, so that is also there. They have actually gone for the reconfirmation of that. GSLV Mark 3 was the launch vehicle over here, and it has landed on the south pole, or they have tried to land it on the south pole. Okay, coming to the next one, demonstrating, when we talk about the 2023 Chandrayaan 3, they have demonstrated the landing capabilities on the lunar polar exploration, or you can say that we have gone for the soft landing on the south pole. Okay, so that is there, and India becomes the first country to go for the soft landing on the south pole in 2023. Propulsion module, when we talk about the components, there was a propulsion module, there was a lander and a rover. LMV 3 was the launch vehicle, and we have landed on the south pole over there. Okay, so that is about your Chandrayaan. Coming to the next one, India and Qatar elevate ties in the trade, energy and investment. So here we are talking about the India and Qatar ties now. What are the outcomes we will be focusing on? So here you can see strategic partnership. We have elevate our status to strategic partnership. So that is important aspect over here. Okay, so that means that we have strengthened our relations. Coming to the next one, India-Qatar strategic partnership formalized to enhance long-term cooperation in the trade, investment and the security. That is normal thing. When we talk about the bilateral trade targets, etc., last time we have said that 17 point some billion US dollar was there, and again I told you that it has been little bit slower this year, and because of which we have seen that there was somewhere around 14 billion US dollar that was the bilateral trade, and they have said that they will be doubling it by 2030 to 28 billion US dollar by 2030. Investment commitment, Qatar sovereign wealth fund to invest 10 billion US dollars in India across infrastructure, renewable energy, startups and the smart cities. Bilateral investment treaty has been talked about. So talks to expedite the negotiation on the bilateral investment treaty to facilitate greater foreign direct investment in India. Coming to the next one, comprehensive economic partnership agreement, initial discussion to explore the free trade pact between the two countries. Now there are two things: bilateral investment treaty, that is talks has been going on over there, and then comprehensive economic partnership agreement, that is kind of an FTA which will be talked about by the two countries. Okay, so that is something. Coming to the next thing, that is the energy and the security related and the infrastructure. So LNG supply agreement, which we already have, that Qatar Energy and the Petronet LNG signed a 20 years contract for supplying 7.5 million metric tons per annum. So that is there. Coming to the next one, renewable energy, India and Qatar to explore joint projects in the solar, wind and the hydrogen energy. Coming to the next one, infrastructure and the technology partnership, investment in smart cities, fintech, robotics and AI. So that is also with respect to the tech. Digital and the financial cooperation, again we are going for the UPI expansion in Qatar. Okay, UPI expansion in Qatar. India's unified payment interface to be rolled out nationwide in Qatar, enhancing the digital financial connectivity. When we talk about UPI and the digital public infrastructure, these are two things we are actually exporting to other countries. We are giving other countries so that it will be a seamless flow of incomes, etc., or seamless transaction can be started. Okay, Qatar Investment Authority office in India. So QIA office will be set up in India. So that will be easy for the Qatarian authority or the you can say investors to invest in India. So that is about the two countries having a bilateral trade. And here if we talk about the location of Qatar, here you can say this is Qatar. This is kind of a peninsula, and only land boundary it has with, that is Saudi Arabia. Okay, it is written over here, Saudi Arabia. Only country with which Qatar has a land boundary, that is Saudi Arabia. Okay, in the vicinity we have Bahrain. Okay, Bahrain and Qatar are being separated by Bay of Bahrain. Okay, so that is something which you should remember. If we talk about the location of Qatar, that is there in Persian Gulf, which you should remember. So that is about this. Okay. Now coming to the next part, if we talk about the overview, it is a Western Asian country. Okay, it occupies the small Qatar Peninsula in the Arabian Peninsula. Okay, so here you can see this is the Arabian Peninsula. Okay, it is the eastern coast of the Arabian Peninsula, and here we are having this Qatar Peninsula. Okay, then it's the sole land boundary is with Saudi Arabia. I told you that Gulf of Bahrain, that is basically inlet of the Persian Gulf, separates the Qatar from Bahrain. Then the capital of Qatar is Doha. You can say 80% of the population of Qatar is living in Doha. When we talk about the population of Qatar, okay, you can say nearly 25% of the population of Qatar, that is basically Indian. Okay, they are people from India or the Indian origin, they are living over there. So that is why we are having a high or a good diaspora presence over there as well. It is a high income economy backed by the world's third largest natural gas and the oil reserve, that is there. And when we talk about the natural gas, India imports natural gas from Qatar. Okay, so that is there. So this is about Qatar. Now we can move further to the next one. That is US Russia pledge to find a way to end Ukraine war. Now US, Russia and Saudi Arabia, US, Russia and Saudi Arabia, they have met over there. Saudi Arabia is the country which has hosted this summit, and they have discussed few things. Now the thing is, when you will go through the discussion, you will be finding that most of the outcomes or the highlights of the discussions are related to Russia and USA. Okay, so let's see what has happened over here. Russia US, Russia and the plan to build the confidence. First, both countries will negotiate how to remove restrictions placed on each other. In each other's embassy is the Moscow and Washington, which are operating with skeleton staff after years of the tit for tat expulsion. So what they are doing is that first they will be bettering their own ties, okay, then only there will be a trust and then they can work on something else. So that is one aspect which has been talked about. Now here you can see, okay, what was decided? Peace talks for Ukraine. Both sides agreed to form a team to work on the possible peace deal. Right now, they have not even gone close to that. They have said that we will be making teams and that we will be talking about the peace deal. That is one thing. Second, restoring diplomacy. They will discuss reopening the embassies. After 2014, Crimea annexation, and that after that there was some kind of US sanctions which has been put on Russia. What they have done is that they have gone for the tit for tat policy. They have started to reduce the staff in their embassies, okay, so that is there. So they will be reviving that first. So they will discuss the reopening embassies in the Moscow and Washington, which has reduced staff due to the tension. Coming to the next one, business and trade. The US oil and the Western companies, including the Exxon Mobil, may resume the business with Russia. Now they might go for the lessening the restrictions, and then they might go and work in Russia as well. That is about the Western countries and the USA. Coming to the next one, what are the challenges? Okay, so challenge one is the Russia's demand. Russia has a demand that no NATO troop will be there in the neighborhood over there. Okay, no NATO troops should be stationed near Russia. Okay, that is one thing. Coming to the next one, Europe's concern. Some European countries like France, etc., they are saying that the Russia and Ukraine, when they are talking about their own interest, and they are sidelining the you can say Ukraine. Here in this whole discussion, you will be seeing that they are talking about how to better their relations. Okay, so that is there. Europe's concern. Some European countries worry that the US and Russia might make a deal that ignores the Ukraine's interest. Okay, coming to the next one, Saudi Arabia's role. If we talk about, so Saudi Arabia is trying to bring both the sides together because they are having their own economic and the investment related you can say leverages over there. Okay, so that is basically the you can say outcome of the talks which has been done recently. Now for your own read, there is this article, what is the deposit insurance cover and how will raising it help you. Okay, now this is deposit insurance cover. Now I'll tell you that what is deposit insurance. Let's say you have actually some kind of money in the bank. Okay, let's say you have some 3 lakh rupees which is there in the bank. Okay, now the thing is, after some time what happens is that bank declares that you can say insolvency. Okay, bank does not have the assets. Now what will happen to your deposits? Okay, now the thing is that government has this particular scheme, that is deposit insurance. If you have this deposit insurance, that means that this money will be paid back to you. But the thing is, there is a limit, there is a cap on that. Now you are within the cap, then you will be getting the money. But if you are more than the cap, let's say cap is 5 lakh rupees. Cap is 5 lakh and you are having 3 lakh rupees in the bank deposit, so you will be getting it. If you are having 10 lakh rupees, so you will be getting the 5 lakh rupees. That is the deposit insurance, okay, which is there. They are saying that how will raising it help you? If you raise this particular insurance amount, will it help you? Obviously it will help you. That will generate confidence in the banks that people might go for the more deposits. Right now concern is that the people has moved from banks towards the mutual funds and the SIPs, and that is why banks are facing issue of the less deposits, and if they are having less deposits, they cannot go for the credit. Okay, so considering that, if you are going for such cover, that can help you. That is something which has been discussed over here, so you can go through this. Okay, now right now when we talk about, that is at present they offer insurance cover on the bank deposit up to 5 lakhs within the 90 days of the imposition of such restrictions. Okay, so that is 5 lakh cover is there right now. So they are trying to, or there is a talk about increasing it. Okay, new CEC and the new law. We have already talked about the appointment of CSC. Okay, and we have talked about the law which is there for the appointment of CSC. So you can go through this article. Okay, now in the end, let's talk about the practice question. Under which article of the Indian Constitution Election Commission of India is constituted? That is a very easy question, article 324. We have already talked about that. Now for today's questions, I have taken this why can't a humpback whale swallow a human? Okay, simple. They have sharp teeth, that prevent swallowing large prey. Coming to the next one, their throats are too small to accommodate a human. They do not have a digestive system for large prey. They can only eat plants. Okay, now if you can go through a logic only, you can solve that. But the thing is, if you go on a wrong track, that can be problematic for you, because if you think that the throats are small that cannot be right thing for a whale, because whales are a big animal. So please be cautious about that. So you can attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next session. Till then, have a nice day. Thank you, and please subscribe to the channel.